Hey, welcome to this online experience that we are having. Welcome to Motivation Church Online. Man, we will do whatever it takes to get the gospel of Jesus to you because we believe it's important and we believe that it'll change your life. And I want to say a special shout out to our team. When we first heard about the weather conditions and how there were going to be ice on the roads, ice in our parking lot, and it's going to be freezing overnight on Saturday night and until the morning of Sunday. And we thought, man, we want to have an online experience because we want our team to be home safe, spend some time with your family, spend some time with your friends, or catch up on your favorite Netflix movies or shows. You know who you are. But we want to have this online experience because we don't want you to miss this particular sermon talking about hope. And we are in this new series called ACHOR, called Hope. And I just want to say, you have the best dream team in the world at Motivation Church. I mean, when we heard about this and we heard about the weather, our team got together, put this stuff together, made sure that we are able to have this online experience for you. And so we hope that you can share this video, share that to all your friends, or maybe they're missing church today because of the weather as well. Man, share this video so it could be an encouragement to you all. I am excited because last week we started this series called ACHOR, called Hope. And it was a series that we opened and we believe is the heart of the Christmas story. The heart of the Christmas story is about this God who comes to hopeless situations and provides literal hope for people. And we believe that he can provide hope for you. And so we hope that in this series that you can experience the hope that Jesus provides to the world. And so last week we talked about this, what hope means, and kind of looked at that, and we had a powerful message. If you missed last week's sermon by my wife, Brittany, I encourage you to go online to experience that message. It was a great message, and I'm excited to kind of continue on in this series of ACHOR, called Hope. Hey, oftentimes in life, we hope for a lot of things. And I think that we have gotten the definition of hope completely wrong, right? I always thought hope was me hoping that the Miami Dolphins can win a playoff game. And that's a lot of hope. And some of you Redskin fans, you're hoping that the Redskins can win the Super Bowl. That's a lot of hope. And maybe some of you are hoping that you can find that special loved one. For some of y'all, that's a lot of hope, unfortunately. And maybe some of you are hoping that you can have something new or something different in your life in a new year. And that's great hope. But really, all those things that I just mentioned is more wishful thinking or optimism. And oftentimes, we confuse wishful thinking or optimism with hope. But there's two separate things, completely separate. What I believe hope is a constant expectation that God is working. Hope is a constant expectation that God is working in your life. No matter what season you find yourself in, no matter what situation you find yourself in, you could be a young entrepreneur, business owner, and you are in the beginning of your business and things seems like it's not going to come to pass. You could be a young mother and you feel like you can never grasp that schedule that you want. Or you could be a father, you could be a husband, you could be a college student, and you're not where you feel like you should be. And what hope is that no matter what season you find yourself in, God is working. And when Jesus came into the world, he didn't come and everything in the world became okay, right? Like, let's think about the Christmas story. When Jesus was born, he was born technically homeless, right? Right? If we would write the Christmas story over, we would say Jesus, the Son of God, would be born in a palace. But no, he was born in a farm. He was born in the cold. He was born in a hopeless situation. But when Jesus came into the world, we now have the expectation that we have a God who is working, who is fighting on our behalf. So no matter what season you find yourself in, hope is about us knowing that God is working. He's always working. He's never going to stop working on your behalf. He's always going to be this God of hope. I want to look at a scripture found in Hebrews chapter 6, starting at verse 13, and it really encapsulates what hope is. Starting in verse 13, Hebrews chapter 6, it says this: "For when God made a promise to Abraham, since he had no one greater by whom to swear, he swore by himself." Here's what that means. So God made a promise to Abraham, right? And when you and I was growing up, we made a promise to our friends. We're like, man, I swear by my mom's grave, which is completely bad to do. Sometimes we swear on something, right? Oh, I swear on my life, or I swear on my house that this is going to happen, right? And God could not find anything else to swear by that's going to be legit. And so what God says, I'm going to swear on my name. I'm going to swear on myself, because there's nothing higher than me. He says to Abraham, I'm going to swear by myself. He says, by saying, surely I will bless you and multiply you. And thus Abraham, having patiently waited, obtained the promise. For people swore by something greater than themselves, and all of their disputes an oath of final confirmation. Verse 17, it says this: "So when God desired to show more convincingly to the heirs of the promise, to the unchangeable character of his purpose, he guaranteed it with an oath, so that by two unchangeable things, in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have fled for refuge might have strong encouragement to hold fast to the hope that he set before us. We have this as a sure and steadfast anchor of our soul, hope that enters into the inner place behind the curtain." Let me kind of break down what that passage really means. What that passage means is that God, he has swore by his name. He says, I'm going to take an oath to you, and I cannot lie. So everything that I promise you by my name and by my character that I do not lie is going to come to pass. And that's amazing, right? That everything he's promised you, he's made an oath to himself that they're going to happen. And so we know that we have a God who's fighting on behalf. We have a God who never breaks his oath. And so if there's any promises in your life, maybe you have some promises that you felt like 2017 was going to be the year for you and the year for that particular promise to come to pass. And we're in December and you're not there yet. Let me tell you, we can have this assurance knowing that God is fighting for you. We can have that insurance. And so what I want to do is hit a few different things about hope, because hope is so important for our lives. What I want to say this, before I kind of get into our points, and maybe I might not get to our points for time's sake, I want to say this: hope is not us sitting back and waiting for God to change our situation. That's not hope. Hope is us trusting in God, knowing that he's always working, but also trusting and hoping in his process. So let me repeat that again. Hope is not us sitting back in life and just waiting. Like, I'm going to hope that God can make my marriage better. Oh, I'm going to hope that God can make my job better. I hope he changed things, God. Come on, God. Come on, somebody. That's not hope. Hope is us engaging in the process that God has for our lives. In fact, we hope in God by showing our faithfulness to his process, right? Let me say it again. I didn't write that down. That just came out. We hope in God by showing our faithfulness to his process, right? And so if we, i.e., want to have great finances and we're hoping that God can change our finances, what hope is on our behalf is being faithful to the ways that God tells us to deal with our finances, right? If we want God to, if we're hoping in God to improve our marriage, what we do is engage in the process that God has laid out in scripture what it is to have a godly and biblical marriage. Hope is all about engaging in the process that God has for our lives. And sometimes in life, and sometimes we think that we're hoping in God without engaging in his process, but really that's just wishful thinking, because hope always motivates us to get busy in the process that God has for our lives. And I remember years ago, Brittany and I, we felt like we were called to ministry. We felt like we were called to be in full-time ministry. And we were living in a season where we were at a church that could not afford to have us full-time. And so we were so tempted to kind of leave the ministry and say, you know what, we're not going to do this. It's too hard. Let's just get a normal job and work 9 to 5 and everything would be happy. Our family would be happy. Our kids would be happy. We'll have a happy life. We could be able to buy a house one day. But we really felt like God wanted us to continue into the process and get into full-time ministry. And so what we did, we got jobs that were flexible enough that we can work and do full-time ministry type work. And we began to engage in the process. We felt like God says, hey, be faithful in the small things. Be faithful at that church that can only pay you part-time. Be faithful in that position. There was only a few people there when I was preaching. Just be faithful, be faithful, be faithful. And we engaged in the process. And in those moments, we were hoping that we can be full-time, that we can have enough money, so that we can be all in for full-time ministry. But in that season of life, our hope led to a faithful process that God gave us. I just had a conversation with a young girl who has just gotten engaged. It's an amazing story. She is in her mid-30s, and she's been wanting to get married since she was 25, right? And she told me this testimony. She says, Pastor Travis, when I was in my young 20s, my mid-20s, I really wanted to get married, but I knew that I could not control when I was going to meet that special someone, but I could control how I was going to be in the process. And although she was hoping for a husband, God gave her a process. And she began to live a faithful, a pure life. She began to have great boundaries in relationships. And now all the way to her mid-30s, she found that special someone. And she says, it was my hope in God and my hope in his process. Because if I hope in his process, knowing that it is going to work. And that's hope. Hope is us saying, God, I'm hoping in this, but I'm going to trust your process. And Abraham, here in this particular passage of scripture, he was in a situation where he was old and he couldn't have kids, but he said, you know what? I'm not going to worry about the promise coming to pass. I'm going to worry about the process that God has called me to engage in. And so the Christmas story is about God and Jesus bringing hope to the world. But hope is all about us engaging in this process. Think about Mary, the mother of Jesus. You think about her, right? She was pregnant with a child. And I think about any young mom. Any young mom would love to make sure that child was in a great environment. But no, that's not her life. In fact, she was born Jesus was born on a farm, like I said, in cold conditions, in a rough environment. In fact, when they were young and Jesus was a young boy, he had to go on a run because people was after his life. That's not what a mom wanted. But she trusted the process. In the midst, while she was a fugitive and hiding baby Jesus, and when she was running for her life, in the midst of that, she trusted the process that God had for her and Jesus and her family. I wonder if you're in a situation right now where the process seems just like a small thing and, man, you're just waiting for God to come to pass for something. I wonder if you're hoping for something big for your family and your life. I want to say this, that whenever God gives us hope, it always comes with the process. And oftentimes, we want to hope with a promise without trusting the process. And what an anchor does, right? You think about what an anchor is. An anchor is something that weighs down a boat So that when a boat is in the midst of a storm, I grew up in Miami, Florida, as many of you know, the 305. It just came back there this past week. I remember growing up, and my grandfather would take us out on weekends, and he had a boat. The name of the boat was Lady Blessed 2. And I remember we would go out to Key Largo, Florida on weekends, and early in the morning we would stop by the bait store, and we would get shrimp, live shrimp, and we would go out to the Keys and we would go fishing. And I remember whenever we found this spot where we wanted to fish, we felt like this was this place, this was it. We would throw down an anchor, and the anchor will allow us not to drift. The anchor will allow us to manage the boat in the midst of the waves. And it's really interesting that the anchor did not prevent the waves. The anchor did not prevent the storms. The anchor did not, and sometimes even with the anchor, we had to move and we were shifting a little bit. And what the anchor did, the anchor allowed us to have a stable enough environment so that we could fulfill the goal of us going fishing. And the hope that God has for us is that it's not going to prevent waves. It's not going to prevent rain. They're going to come. But we're going to trust the process that when the waves and the storms are gone, we will remain in position to receive everything that God has for our lives. This is the anchor. The hope that God offers is an anchor for our soul. It's an anchor for our soul. But it all comes and starts with a process. You know, oftentimes we think that hope is just this abstract thing in our brains, but really we learn that hope is really practical. It's getting into the process that God has for our lives. Simple, practical. It's for your life. And I'm not sure where you are right now. And I would say, even right now, if you're watching this on your computer, iPhone, or in your living room or with your family, I would say I want you all to close your eyes, and I want you right now to think about the promises that God has for your life. Think about the situations that feel hopeless. And I want, if I can just whisper God's voice into your ear, it would be, He's fighting for you. Now engage in the process and watch hope come alive in your life. And that's the Christmas story. And we are excited and we are happy to know that we serve a God who is always fighting for hope for our lives. If you can, just really quick, would you close your eyes? I'm not sure who's watching this video, but some of you may say, I've never given Jesus Christ my life, and I never trusted in Jesus for salvation. And some of you need to trust in God for the first time, and some of you need to trust in God for the first time in a long time. Wherever you are in that story or in that category, I want you to trust God. If you want to give Jesus Christ your life, man, we want you to send an email to info@motivation.church. We want to mail you a free Bible, free resources, just for you, no matter where you are. You could be watching this and you could be in California. We want to bless you because we believe that God's hope for your life is just so much. He just wants you to start the process. And you could be watching this video and you could have been a Christian for a long time, but I would say God would ask you, what habit, what process that are you to engage in to make sure hope comes alive in your life? So I want to say thank you for watching this sermon. If you have any prayer requests or any feedback with this sermon, and you won't have any questions, email us at info@motivation.church, and we would love to interact with you. Or you can interact on our Facebook or even on this particular video post. We'd love for you to interact with us. Hey, we love you, and we're believing great things for you. I want to just make a switch into some announcements we have for our church upcoming in the upcoming weeks. First is next weekend, man, drum roll. The people in the back are laughing. Hey, next week we have our Hope Offering. we're excited about it because, man, we just believe that what if God can use a young church plant like Motivation to change the world. So our hope offering is going to three different areas. Number one is going towards Fallen Creek Elementary and some towards Fallen Creek Middle, but mainly Fallen Creek Elementary. We're going to be helping them out in their STEAM room. And another portion of the funds is going to give hope to kids. It's a great ministry led by Jason Farrow happening in Honduras, and we're going to help rescue kids off the streets and build homes for those kids and provide families for those kids. I mean, we're excited about that. And then we're going to have another offering towards different various projects that allows us to get the gospel of Jesus to more people here locally, and local missions and local things that we're going to be doing in our community. So we are excited for our hope offering. We hope that you pray about asking God what he will put in your heart. We never ask for money at Motivation Church. We simply ask that you ask God, and we trust that God will tell you exactly what to give towards that hope offering. And again, that is above and beyond your normal tithes and offering. We believe that this can change your life. We believe that it could change our world. And we are excited because we are a generous church. We are generous people. Second announcement I want to make is that our Christmas Eve service is going to be absolutely amazing. We're going to have photos you could take with Santa. We're going to have we're going to have all type of things for kids. We're going to have train rides, and there's all different parties and stuff for the kids. We're going to have a candlelight service, 1 hour service. We're excited to be a part of that Christmas Eve service happening at 10:45 a.m. And lastly, if you want to sign up to be baptized or have your kids to be dedicated before the new year starts, we strategically had our first baptism opportunity as a church on the 31st on New Year's Eve, the same time in our service at Fallen Creek at 10:45. We're going to have baptisms. We're going to have a baby dedication, and it is going to be an absolutely amazing day. You don't want to miss that day. But if you want to be baptized, and man, you could be an adult, man. You say, you know what, I need to make this public declaration of an inward decision that I made. Man, we want to encourage you to get baptized. Sign up. You could be a teenager and you feel like you want to make that decision to go public with your faith. Man, we want you to sign up for our baptisms. And we also have our dedications. And man, you want to say, I want to dedicate my kids. I want our family to be solid, to be firm in the new year. Man, we would love for you to sign your kids up to be dedicated on that particular Sunday. It's going to be a great time. And as all, if you have any other questions, we would love for you to interact with us. Thank you so much for attending this online experience. Thank you to all of our Dream Team people. Man, we have over 85, probably more than that, people serving every single week to make our Sundays happen. We love you. Man, Motivation Church, the best is yet to come. We are excited. Our vision is to see people love God, love people, change the world. Man, we are pumped about what God's going to do in the new year and the upcoming weeks. We believe that Motivation's best days are ahead, and we are excited that you are partnering with us to make this happen. Hey, if you want to give online today, you can go to our website, www.motivation.church, that you can give. And we always say at a Motivation Church, we don't give for a blessing, we give from a blessing. God's given us so much grace, so much peace, so much hope. And we believe that because of that, we give unto God. And so, or you can text a number that's found somewhere on the screen, and we would love for you to be a part and partner with us, and for you to be faithful to God in your giving, your tithes and your offering. Hey, God bless you, Motivation Church. We believe in you. Man, we're praying for you. Man, the best is yet to come for your life. Hope is alive. Hope is possible because of the Christmas story, because of Jesus. We love you guys. God bless you.